They're all real quick on with the circles too. Takes me forever to do that, huh? Yeah. I'm like really slow. It's like a turtle. Okay. This is a hugely powerful symbol for day to day. Traffic jams. Seriously, works every time. I haven't sat in traffic after I've drawn this symbol. It just opens up. And usually it keeps going, though. I noticed LA was a little bit resistant. I had to draw it a couple times, but it always moved. Yeah, well, it's true. Movement and balance, right? Okay, so what about you've got a team of folks and you're working on a project as a group. Okay, this would be a very, very good symbol to help with the balanced forward movement. Okay, because in reality, the blocks just kind of disappear. You know, like twigs that are pulled out of a dam. They all fly apart. The Pleiades is the star keeper for this symbol, and then Maitreya or Maitreya. Maitreya is the Kapipula that works with this symbol. And really, I want to talk about him a little bit. Have y'all heard about Maitreya? So apparently he's got this blue turban and stuff. And maybe all this stuff in the country over the last few years was so you wouldn't be so happy to see somebody in a blue turban coming up. But if you see this guy in the blue turban, he's really cool. You ought to check him out. He's one of the helpers for the next 2,000 years. You could say it that way. Ultimately, there's been a meeting that's gone on since the early 80s where the industrialized forces in the world get together and talk about what they want for the next year. Okay, and it used to be 7 countries, now it's like 20 or something. Okay, but one of the very first meetings, and this occurred, I believe, in about 87 or so. Maitreya went there along with some others. So if they're going to have a starred people visit on an official level, it'll happen at that moment. Okay, and it used to be on an island off in the Pacific, but I think they moved it to an island off the Atlantic in Europe now. Okay, and that's like their meeting. Anyway, Maitreya and some star nations showed up, and the concern was universal shelter. That means good shelter, universal education, universal food, good healthy food, universal clothing. Did I ever say universal education? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, then it's those 4. The shelter, the food, the clothing, the education. And that when these 4 freedoms are in place, okay, they're like freedoms and birthrights, are in place, that then the star nations are allowed to come in and help. Okay? But the help was so large scale, so dramatic that they say that within 2 weeks structures could have been put up for everybody. That the type of seed and ways of planting could have been taught for the next season. Okay, and that well, as far as clothing goes, there's a lot of ways to make sure there's plenty of clothing. You just don't end up paying $600 or $700 for a pair of sneakers. You know, it's just spread out a little bit. And then education. And I have to say for the Islamic world that they have been way ahead on the education for several hundred years, because they make sure that their kids are educated through 40, basically. You know, they send them for doctorates and all that sort of stuff. So they've done real well on educating, at least within their understanding. All right, so the Star Nations and the Masters, the Ashtar Command and others were all involved in this project for the basic needs of the people and offered help. But that group of 7 nations at that time said, no, we don't want the help. Okay? And because they were our elected officials, that was the word, that's the way the Star Nations see it. Whoever is on top of the pyramid scheme is seen as sovereign for that. Okay? Except that the Star Nations understand that, you know, like each tribe, each indigenous people, you know, have their own say as well. But in terms of communicating to the whole planet, they were looking to these designated leaders. And so as of right now, we're still under that decision to not get the help. Okay? Because in a matter of 2 weeks, at any moment now, that we decide, there can be that type of egalitarianism on the planet again. I know. So, really, about this way of movement and balance is that the first test that we have is to learn to care for each other more than we care for ourselves. Because ultimately, this is what's going on, is that one nation or a few nations are saying we care more about ourselves than we do the world or the future of the children. Okay? And so that's the area to help change the consciousness. And as soon as we get to the place of, okay, we're tired of fighting over this yellow colored stuff and this black colored tar and all this other things, that all of a sudden we can enter an opportunity for civilization.
Come on, people!